to another episode of the Little Radio Show, where we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week we have a conversation about how we all survived Thanksgiving with all of our turkey leftovers and family gatherings and traditions. A reminder to check your Facebook privacy settings and why. We also have a look at whether or not you should be billed for not attending an event to which you RSVP and how you should react if you do receive a bill. And we have a wonderful conversation about our favorite musics and how it became our favorite and what the emotional ties are attached to it. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels can be found on thelittlradioshow.com. Welcome, everybody, to the week after Thanksgiving. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm the publisher of HispanicHouston.com, and I'm one of the co-hosts for the Little Radio Show.
Hi, my name is Anjelica Cazares. I am one of the co-hosts for the Little Radio Show. On top of that, I also co-created Juan of Words. And watch out, once again, I'm inviting you to come over and like Crafty Thrifter.
Or are you still trying to figure out what to do with all those leftovers and eating them with the eggs and tortillas and hot sauce?
As I heard Sandra,
turkey tacos.
By the way, this is Juan, the other co-host of the Little Radio Show and co-founder of Juan of Words.
So I was hearing you, Sandra, and I can't believe that it's already over. Thanksgiving is long gone. It's past August, which was around our launch date. How long have we been doing this now? 3-4 months?
This is, I believe, episode 20.
Wow. Pat on the back.
But you were talking about leftovers. Mm-hmm. You know, it's amazing, though. Everyone's going to have leftovers, or did have leftovers.
And you never know what to do with it.
Oh, I always know what to do with it. Hello.
Well, it's because you get tired after a while of this thing.
Turkey pot pie is one of my favorite things to do with leftovers. Turkey tacos.
Turkey tamale.
You know what my mom does? She does mole.
Really? That's she does too.
Mole with the turkey, yeah.
Now, I know people who freeze the turkey because they can't stand the sight of it and will, unfreeze it about a couple of weeks later when they can finally take a look at it. But, there are people that make shakes out of the pumpkin pie.
I thought you said the turkey.
Yes. I thought the same thing too. I did.
No, not the turkey. Shakes out of the pumpkin pie. You can make turkey salad instead of chicken salad out of the turkey.
I've noticed that one of the things that it's always left over, it's the turkey for us, for whatever reason, it's always like the dark meat, and that's what my mom makes mole out of. But a lot of the desserts are the ones that stay behind, and it's too much, and nobody wants anymore. And it seems like everybody brings like 2 desserts, and so we got like 20 desserts out on the table.
The things that'll go faster, the desserts, and like things like the macaroni.
No, not the desserts at our house.
The mashed potatoes. In my house, the mashed potatoes will be the first thing to disappear.
Yeah, like the macaroni. Oh yeah.
You see, one thing that my sister does is she does the rice and broccoli, and that's the first one that just that's it. People actually start. Okay, so what happens at my house is they serve themselves a plate to go first, and then they serve themselves the food because you're not going to get the same flavors out of your whole meal.
But the thing about turkey, it has like a little bit of an aftertaste, like after the fact, and it's like making it a mole, making it a tamales. It's it's all about hiding that little flavor.
Well, the thing in my family, one of the traditions for the weekend of Thanksgiving is that the Christmas ornaments go up. So my poor brother-in-law has a box waiting for him the day after Thanksgiving that those ornaments, that Christmas tree and all of the decoration have to be up that weekend because that's what we were raised doing. So as I stand here right now, my sister's houses are already showing that the holidays are here.
Wow, like we're pretty pathetic. Yeah. Last year we had a Christmas tree that was miniature and it didn't even have any decoration.
Well, you'll notice that I didn't say my house.
We are pretty pathetic. We stand not to do anything. We actually hardly. One year, what did we do? We bought a real Christmas tree on sale like 3 days before Christmas.
Yeah, and then we leave the Christmas tree up until like Valentine's Day.
This poor thing is just like branches at this point, and it's just we paid what was it, $7, and we made sure we got our $7 out of it.
Well,
we're still being picky. Like, oh, this one's not fluffy enough.
Are you talking about a real Christmas tree?
Christmas tree?
Oh Lord, no. We gave up on the real ones a while ago. We just do the nice plastic one that gets brought out every year and decorated.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same Christmas feel though.
Yes, but ours are up since the day after Thanksgiving.
Does your family leave it after New Year's, or how long do you wait?
It actually goes down around Dia de los Reyes Magos, about the 6th of January.
Oh, okay. So you guys are very reasonable with it.
Yes, we are very reasonable with it.
I'm curious, does anybody else like leave up their Christmas tree? If you have a story, how long you left it up, or were you like decorating it for...
You understand that the real trees die, right?
Yeah.
It's not so much of you leaving it up.
Yeah.
Well, they die, but they also, like, I think they inject them, or they put like a little thing that like they have to give you like a little pill that you can buy that you put it in the water, and then it makes it live longer.
It revives it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cut. That's it. It's not like other plants where you can like insert it back in the ground and it's gonna sprout again.
But it smells so good.
As
soon as you put it in the house, it's just
I give you that. It does smell very nice.
And it's funny because it's like you like just the scent. Like it's like, oh, it's the season, and it's like you start feeling like all Christmassy.
So this is supposed to be the in case you missed it section. I actually had a legitimate non-Thanksgiving, non-holiday thing to share, and that was that recently Facebook made a change in how they serve out search results on the web version, I think, and on the mobile version of Facebook as well, that I wanted to share because it's a good opportunity for people to go in and check their privacy settings. What Facebook does now is if you go in and you do a search on a specific term, like let's say I go in and I look for coffee makers or something like that with just a term, first it's going to give you the results of any posts or updates from pages that you follow and people who are in your network, that your friends and friends of friends. But then it's going to give you the posts and updates from anyone who has used that, who has a public post. So if you are posting things and your settings are settings are not private, yes, if your settings are public, that means that there's a very real possibility that your posts are being read by people as part of the search results. And if you're fine with that, then more power to you. A great deal of my posts and my content is set to public, but my default is friends only, and about once a day I go in and I change the privacy settings on the stuff that I figure is safe for public consumption.
See, I like that because as somebody who works, and sometimes you have to go in the industry, I'll say, like somebody who works in social media and who has to go in and find this stuff, like sometimes and like do research. Like I like that because now I can go in and I can search stuff and I can find it. And
now you can find it on.
But this is not. You're right. This is not new. Facebook used to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I had it as part of one of my classes that I did on social listening, and when I was teaching Facebook for small business owners, one of the things that I did teach them was how to use this open search that Facebook had to find out information about what people are saying about their business, their competitors, and their industry.
Right.
But a couple of years ago, Facebook changed the way that they do search, and so this suddenly became not a possibility.
Well, they've changed so much. Yes. They make so many changes.
But that's why I'm saying this is one of those things where if you weren't paying attention, you don't know that Facebook started doing this again. So I'm sharing it out for people in case there are people out there who would prefer that their posts are not being read by random strangers and they don't know. This is a good opportunity to go in. Facebook has a way you can go in and you can change the privacy on all of your settings. Most people go into Facebook with the assumption that what they're posting is private. And I want people to understand that they need to go and check their privacy settings right now because this one small change has now opened up their posts once again. People don't have to go in and look for you specifically. All it has to do is come up in somebody's keyword search.
Facebook user beware.
Yes. And that
is interesting.
And that's my helpful tip for the week. If you're just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org. So holiday season is upon us, and one of the things that happens in November and December and even into January is the parties. There's party after party after party. In the spirit of this, I saw a story, or I heard a story on the...
I'm sure many listeners out there might have heard the same story, but please proceed, Sandra.
Okay, so this is, again, of course, since I am the fact checker, I didn't check a single fact on this. As I understand it, there's a couple who had RSVP'd for a wedding, and at the last minute, the person who was supposed to take care of their child didn't show up or was unable to or whatever, and so they didn't go to the wedding. And as a result of that, the bride sent the couple an invoice for, as I understand it, $75. It might, the amount might not be right, to cover their 2 dinners, plus a request that they explain why they didn't make it to the wedding when they sent the check in.
Okay, so here's... No. Okay. Because I got a lot to say.
So... then what happened is, of course, how do we all know that this happened? Because the person who received the invoice posted it on Facebook, and everyone has an opinion on this. And I thought that let's just join the fray.
Okay, so I think
I know how they reacted when they got the letter and they opened it and it was like
I would have been like, embarrassed. Okay. But I would have been embarrassed. I would have been embarrassed. I would have been like,
as the person who received the letter?
As a person, yes, I would have paid it. I would have just gone on and been like, I'm sure I would have been like, listen, it's none of your freaking... If I'm giving you the money, it's none of your business. Why didn't it attend?
To sender.
But Juan, but here's your $75.
I understand the bride's point of view because I have both my sisters had lovely weddings that they paid for themselves, and so I know that you pay by the person, and all these people RSVP and then don't show up. And don't even send an apology. And you have paid for them.
But when did it become a contractual agreement that you have to show up?
That's why you're
RSVP'd.
But you're invited. You're invited to an event.
But that's, they wouldn't have made them. Here's the thing. They wouldn't have made them pay for their dinner had they just shown up. And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
They had no choice.
Okay, so
here's my. At what point do they cut off at what point does the caterer say, okay, well, the day of, they're not going to show up.
Okay. So here's my
caterer. The caterer is going to charge you based upon how many people they're expecting. So if you have 100 RSVPs, you're expecting 100 people to show up, and only 80 people showed up, and you paid $50 per person for an additional 20 that didn't. That's a lot of money.
But if those 20 people say the week of or the day of, they say, hey, guess what? I'm not going to come.
The caterer's already ordered the food.
So that's you're going to get charged regardless.
I would have been a pissed bride too.
Yeah, I understand the bride.
Now, on top of this,
I would never have sent an invoice, though.
I don't, Sandra.
That's Bridezilla gone crazy.
Okay. And we can't talk. I feel bad talking about this particular instance because I don't know what the relationship was. Correct. But let's say just in general, I don't believe that sending an invoice to someone because they failed to show up after they RSVP'd is correct.
Well, if they didn't even show up, do you really think they're going to pay you?
I had a friend who had a kids party at Dave & Buster's. She paid for so many people. Like 10 of them failed to show up after they'd RSVP'd. And I remember sitting there and she was so upset because it's $50 per person for 10 people that she paid. She's like, I should send them all a bill. She said that out loud. She was so frustrated, and it was so much money and it was so much waste. And so I understand the impulse. Did she send a bill? Of course not.
My take on it is maybe the bride was expecting like an apology, like a text. Hey, we're really sorry we didn't show up. We don't know that relationship. Yes. And I'm just assuming at this point. So I am going back to just the original story, but maybe that's what she was expecting. Maybe that's what she didn't get. Maybe they got a bill because they didn't apologize.
Here we are. It's the holiday season. Okay. And I receive a lot of stuff where it says RSVP. Okay, one, you're supposed to respond whether or not you're going. Not just if you expect to go.
Sandra, are you talking to us?
Talking to myself.
Juan, do you hear him? But yeah.
So if it says RSVP, it doesn't say just let me know if you're coming. Yeah. No. I'm sorry, I regret that I cannot attend, so they can take you off the possibility. Someone somewhere has a list with your name on it
that has
that has, an unknown next to it. And if it's a sit-down dinner or it's a dinner or something where space is limited, please be kind and let people know that you're, if you're attending or not. Now, here's the important thing. Don't RSVP yes unless you think you're going to go.
But a lot of people,
I don't think a lot of people RSVP with the intention that they're not going to go. I always think they assume they do.
I think on Facebook
you think
they do.
So?
No, on Facebook people don't take that seriously.
Yeah, so people RSVP and they just like RSVP to everything.
And all this Facebook and Eventbrite and whatever. That's why you have to charge people money. You know what I'm seeing now on conferences?
You know why
workshops?
I'm sorry.
They're providing the workshops and or conference or whatever for free. They make you place a deposit that gets refunded to you when you show up, and if you fail to show up, they don't refund it to you.
They don't refund your money.
But I mean, it's one thing if you're hosting an event, like we're doing a mixer, and you can show up or don't. There's not a lot of money involved there, so it's like But it's another thing. I can see the point. Like if you're paying $75 ahead. And they don't show up, and they RSVP.
Well, I think
I can see why you would be mad.
Well, if it's a sit-down dinner, we all know sit-down dinners just cost more. If it's a sit-down dinner, a lot of people don't do RSVPs on Facebook. Well, the reason I do RSVP on Facebook is just so the event, the event shows up in Eventbrite, the same thing. But the sit-down dinners, if you
actually email somebody and say, please RSVP for 2, then that's like a little bit more committed.
You should show up, and you shouldn't. And you're right, Sandra. You shouldn't RSVP to events that you don't have an intention of going. If you're sitting there RSVPing for, say, 3 events, and you're like, oh, I'll just decide the day, that's probably not the best practice.
No. So, I want the option of attending. So let me tell them that I'm going. But if I can't go, it's not that big a deal.
Can you post the menu and see which one has the best menu?
Can you let me know who I might be sitting next to, and then I'll let you know if I go. Don't do that either.
Is it open bar?
If you RSVP'd and you're not going to show up, apologize.
So we do. If there's anybody out there, what would you have done? Would you have paid it like I would have and silently like doubt my head and be like, I should have apologized and I should have just done something to make this better,
or would you have put return to sender like I would have done?
or as Sandra, would you do what you thinking right now? Would you have done?
Oh, I would not. If I'd have been the organizer, I would never have sent an invoice. I would have been upset, especially if they hadn't told me. I reached out, say, I'm sorry, I didn't show up. My brother's wedding 2 years ago, he had a bunch of people not show up, and they didn't even bother to tell him anything. We're sorry we didn't make it, etc. Okay.
Yeah, I would have gone through my contact list. Delete.
I wouldn't have sent an invoice, but I would have probably felt sore with them for a while.
You would have definitely remembered.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, Sandra, but here's the question. As the receiver of that invoice, what would you have done?
I'm not sure. It's going to depend on what my relationship with them and how in the wrong I felt. I can absolutely guarantee, though, one way or the other, we probably wouldn't be friends anymore.
Oh, ouch.
Because one, I'd be upset because she took it so badly, and instead of coming to me directly, sent me the invoice, or 2, because I know myself and I would not have responded well to being invoiced.
And there you have it.
So now only RSVP if you're going to attend, always RSVP even if you're not going to attend, and apologize if you leave someone in the lurch. Just a reminder, you can catch the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central. This week marks the 10th anniversary of the passing of my father, which is something that I don't talk about very frequently. But as I was sitting and marking the anniversary, one of my favorite memories of my dad and my mom was when I was a kid, and Los Rancheritos del Topo Chico would come on the radio, and he literally pulled over to the side of the road. go out to the other side, pulled my mom out, and they were dancing on the side of the road in the middle of some random neighborhood because it was their favorite song. And, you know, my dad loved to dance corridas.
How old were you?
Oh, I must have been 7 or 8 years old. And it's so vivid. My parents went to dance every chance they got. When we used to live in the East End in Houston, there was Latin World or something. It was a ballroom. Okay. And my parents went to dance every Saturday night.
Did they have y'all in tow?
No. We were left with the babysitter, or when I got old enough, I took care of my
Wow,
sisters.
This was for years then that they would do this.
No, sweetie. When we would go to family weddings and stuff, and my dad and my mom would be out there, and, you know, my dad loved corridas, and that was his thing. And so, you know, Ramon Ayala and Los Rancheritos and all this stuff, and they would go out there and they would dance. And so I didn't learn to dance, you know, corridas and etc. until I was about 13 or 14 years old. But I grew up, that's the music that I associate most with my mom and my dad. With my dad. Now, my mom, however, her thing was on Saturday, she, you know, was cleaning day, and she would turn on her vinyl records, and my mom was a Motown girl.
Oh, wow.
Getting
funky.
Oh, yes. And so it was Gladys Knight, and it was Diana Ross, and, okay, they're not Motown, but she loved the Bee Gees.
So she was a real Latina dancing around with the broom and the mop.
And so she would turn on the music. We had a 2-story house, turn on the music loud enough we could hear it from all over the house, and, you know, it was cleaning day to her vinyl records. So that's the music that I grew up on. And that's the influence. And, you know, we had those lovely young singers from Empire last week, and I know that, you know, we've gone to the Manath concert together and etc. But, you know, this is the stuff that I grew up on. So now I have a more eclectic kind of, these are my favorite bands, these are my things, but my influences, my mom, you know, Sonny and Cher and the Beatles and all this other stuff, and the Mamas and the Papas, and, you know, that, and then my dad, Liberacion, and, you know.
You see, my mom.
It's a good cross of both cultures.
To reminisce a little bit, my mother is very much, there was, down the street there, here in Houston, off of North Main, there was a club called Panama. Something Panama. And they allowed children there to go. And they were down where I live, off of Wayside and I-10. If you're not from Houston, it's a major highway and a street that it's known very well in Houston. There was a club called Casino. Okay. And you could also take your children. And so that's where me, my mom, and my sister, and my stepfather would go. And they would dance away, and we would be out, you know, in the fluorescent, under fluorescent lights.
They were the kids running around all over the...
Yeah, we were. We have pictures. We have so many pictures of those memories.
My chonguda running around was
no, my mom didn't let me leave to those bailes. Así toda afraid with my hair. But Liberacion was one of them, and so it was a lot of this music and a lot of the that music that comes from more of the
norteño.
Norteños was my sister.
Okay.
Regional was my sister, but my mom was more of the. I don't have the word to it. I don't have the name to it. But as soon as I hear it, my mom turns it on and she cranks it up when we're in the car and we're just all jamming. My son and people, the kids in the back, they're like, "What in the hell?" But my music that I listen to has always been. I've been one of those night owls. So I would turn on the music and I would just, if there was a word for it then, I was an emo child. Like, I just did things the way.
You were listening to heavy metal or what?
No, emo child doesn't necessarily mean that. But I was listening to things like Blondie, The Tide is High. I was listening things to Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
I was listening to, and it was always more of the inspirational kind of genre sort of thing, things that spoke to me then.
No, give me a guitar solo any day. I'm sorry. Give me a guitar riff any. I'm a child of the 80s, and I'm going to tell you, give me a guitar riff any day in English or Spanish. Even my favorite Spanish rock bands, they're all El Tri and Enanitos Verdes, and you play them, and especially you play their live stuff, and they've got these wonderful guitar solos.
What is
and I'm like, oh my God, I understand. It's the hard rock. It's the hard rock era, the little girl that just worshipped at the altar of these rockers with the long hair.
So the other day we were at the grocery store and we were listening to, and when everybody was walking around, and it was funny because I noticed that there were a bunch of couples. It was late at night. There were a bunch of couples like shopping for groceries together, and they were playing things like Huey Louie and like things like very like retro like 80s 90s music, and everybody was like dancing while they were shopping and they were like moving their heads and stuff, and I was like,
so you know what gets to me though, when my niece and nephew started that they liked all of these older songs like 1980s and I'm like, how do you know these songs? And my sister turns to me and goes, Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
That is right.
Yes.
That's right.
But like my music, like when I grew up, like my parents listened to all Spanish music, but my mom, she would sing. She doesn't sing a lot now, but she would sing then like the Las Jilguerillas and like things like that, and they were very like ranchera songs, very norteño, very like regional Mexican. And I remember like when we would go to Mexico, like my dad would have it on 850 La Tremenda or something like that, and they would play nothing but Spanish music all the way there, and my brothers and I would hate it, and we'd be in the back like, oh, I hate this music. But as I got older, like then I started listening to that.
Appreciation.
Then I started listening to that, and I could appreciate it, and now I like when I hear those songs, they're very melancholic, and I'm just like I'm like singing along, and I know all the words and stuff, and so it's cool.
Well, when my mom started listening to Spanish music, because my mom grew up, she was very assimilated, didn't speak Spanish, didn't start actually speaking Spanish until she and my dad got married, and so she grew up in an era in the U.S. where you didn't retain your Spanish, but her thing was Juan Gabriel and all the singers that he brought up with him,
so many,
and it was so many, but he is just Juan Gabriel, and then it was Rocío Dúrcal, and it was Los Bukis that she loved.
Oh, Los Bukis.
Oh yes,
that is my mom's.
Yeah, and
as soon as she turns that on,
Los Tigres del Norte. Well, there's a little different, but Los Tigres del Norte.
And so my mom was very much baladas and Pimpinela and Daniela Romo.
And then back in the day, like they had like all those groups, like Yuri was like was really big back then, and then there was like, Garibaldi.
See, I grew up on Timbiriche.
Timbiriche, yeah.
But I didn't learn to dance myself until I was like about 11 or 12 years old. By this time, I was stealing my sister's.
Oh my God! I can't believe you said that.
Here's the thing, Sandra. Let me explain this.
Fun of my dancing.
No, let me say this, because I don't dance with Juan because I have a hard time with him. He has 2 left feet.
You don't have the same rhythm.
We don't at all.
She's too.
I do force it. I am more of the leader when we're dancing.
She's more like the emo, like I guess, like very like.
See, it's been so long for me.
Okay,
I don't think I can follow anyone now.
So I didn't learn to dance like norteñas and cumbias until I was like 12 or 13, because my sister was like, she was hardcore like nightclub gal. Like she loved to dance. So did my brother, and they together would like dance. But there was times where he wasn't around, so she would like practice on us. And that's the only reason we learned how to dance.
Like my sisters would do that too. They would like be like, oh, especially my oldest sister, she'd all be like, dance with me, and she like always wanted somebody to dance with her, and it just so happened my youngest brother was the better dancer of the 3 brothers, so he was always stuck dancing with them.
Moses is the better dancer.
So he was always dancing with them, and it was just a lot of fun.
Well, we do that during the holidays and celebrations in our family. We're big dancers, and if you ever watch like the wedding videos for any one of my siblings or my niece's quinceañera video or whatever, you're going to see we dance until our feet hurt. We take off our heels and keep dancing. And
then you're dancing with barefoot.
Yes,
dancing barefoot. We love to dance, but at holiday celebrations, what ends up happening is we pull the furniture out of the way. Somebody's iPod comes out, and we pull my niece and nephews because we want to make sure that they know how to dance. Now, my nephew, who's a teenager, he's got good rhythm. He's getting there. He finally understood that dancing means he gets to stand out there with girls. So he's got.
And isn't that the only reason why you dance to begin
with? One of the few times I danced with Edgar was the time we were at somebody's wedding, somebody's celebration, and it was at a hall. I'm sorry. And I was trying to dance with him, and he was like, no, I don't want to dance. I was like, okay, that's fine. Now go dance. And he comes to me. He's like, Mom, I want to dance. I was like, and I'm just dancing, and I'm like getting into the music. He's like, fine, I don't want to dance. I was like, no, were you serious? Let me dance with you. Come on, let's dance. He's like, no, you had your chance. And I was like, oh my goodness gracious.
And on that note, the big question, and we're not going to answer it because we've got to come back to it, is when's the last time you went dancing? Ooh. I think that's a conversation for another time. And for those of you out there, let's go out and play some new music and let us know what it is that you actually like. If you agree or disagree with us, of course, and if you want to suggest any new music for us. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes channel and our Stitcher channel and to leave us a rating or a review. You can find both links at thelittlерadioshow.com.